All right. So we're going to continue on with the assignment that we started yesterday. So on Google Classroom, there we go. Under social studies, we were working on the daily life in Egypt. So we're going to go ahead and open that back up and finish it. So you can open up the PDF to be able to read it. What? No, we don't have a quizzes until like Thursday, I think.
Thursday, this Thursday?
Yep. So, Skylar, focus, please. Sorry. You can open up the PDF. We already did clothing, games, and education. So we are on government. I'm going to zoom in on this. And then you should also have the Google Slides open that we started yesterday. You should, by this point, have slide 2 done for clothing. Slide 3 should be done for games, and slide 4 should be done for education. And we are on slide 5. I'm going to zoom in on it. Too far. Yeah. So we are going to be looking at the government. So we're going to finish these sentences. So land in Egypt is very valuable because blank. The year 3100 is significant in ancient Egypt because blank. The ruler in ancient Egypt is called a blank. Some of the powers in the Egyptian rulers were blank, and people built great tombs for pharaohs to ensure they lived well in the blank. So we're going to answer those questions. We'll find a picture and do a caption just like we did yesterday. So I'm going to start by reading the government one. Remember that this is it's in first person, so like someone from ancient Egypt wrote this. So here we go. Our land has always been very, very valuable. Each year, the mighty Nile River floods our land, and when it recedes, it leaves the land extremely rich and fertile, which allowed us to grow a variety of crops with relative ease. So what does this have to do with our government, you ask? Well, over the years, many different groups have fought over this land. In fact, prior to 3100 BCE, there were 2 territories of Egypt, the Upper Kingdom and the Lower Kingdom. In 3100 BCE, Egypt's Upper Kingdom and its ruler Menes conquered the Lower Kingdom, which united all of Egypt under one ruler. We call this ruler our pharaoh, and he leads our government. Whereas many societies have kings, our pharaoh is more than that. To us, he is a god. He ruled over both the upper and lower kingdoms, owned all of the land, made the laws, collected taxes, defended us from outside enemies, and even communicated with the gods. Can the leader of your government do all of that? I doubt it. The pharaoh is so respected that we built great tombs for him upon his death. This is to ensure that he will live well in the afterlife. After all, this is how we came up with the name Pharaoh, since it means great house. And then there's a picture of what they put on the pharaohs after they die, like the head. Like it's part of their sarcophagus. Yeah. Yes. Well, they call it a sarcophagus in ancient Egypt. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. So, okay, those of you here need to focus up, please. Thank you. Number 1, the land in Egypt was very valuable because. Why was the land valuable? Because the land was rich and fertile. Good, because the soil was rich and fertile and crops grew well. So they were able to grow crops super easily near the Nile River, which makes it super valuable because back then it wasn't like they were like, I'm going to go to the store and buy a couple apples. That was not that easy back then. Yeah. Okay, that's not as good as it's gonna get. Okay. All right. Number 2. The year 3100 is significant in ancient Egypt because why? What happened in that year? No, the pharaoh didn't die. Well, he was already alive. Good. So ancient Egypt used to be Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. In the year 3100, I don't remember which one. I think it's Upper Egypt. The pharaoh there, the leader, took over all of Egypt. So Egypt was combined into one piece of land, and the war ended, and now there was one pharaoh. I don't think there was. I don't know for sure. It's possible. We're not talking about that right now. Chair on the floor, please. Okay. So in the year 3100, the war ended, and Egypt was finally under one ruler, one pharaoh. I wonder what happened to the other, pharaoh. Yeah. He probably died, yeah.
He probably got old and died.
And no one else wanted to be a pharaoh. I'd love to be a pharaoh.
No, I don't like those. They're mean.
You have to? Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do. You're gonna have to wear makeup as a pharaoh.
Okay, let's look at number 3. What was the ruler in ancient Egypt called? A pharaoh. Pharoah. Oh wait, hang on. It says it's wrong. Aoh. Why did it not correct me up here? I always mix up the A and the O. So it's Pharoah. Yeah. All right. What were some of the powers of the Egyptian rulers, the pharaoh? Okay. Skylar, what was yours? Okay, they could communicate to the gods. What was that, Dylan? I don't think so. Like who had what job? I do not remember that. I'm not sure about that one. But it is all right here. What are some other things that they did? The pharaohs communicated with the gods. I'm gonna say protected citizens. There's just not any orchestra today. Wait, is it a comma or a period? Commas. Sorry. Okay, so they communicated to the gods, they protected the citizens, they made the laws, and they owned all the land. Basically, they ruled everything in Egypt.
Including the Israelites.
I don't think that's a big problem for them.
For the Israelites, they have to kill their slaves. That's how the big old man is that really.
Very cool.
I'd rather be a worker. I'd be a pharaoh as long as I don't make up.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Okay, can we move on from this? None of us are going to be pharaohs.
Yep.
Number 5, people built great tombs for the pharaohs to ensure that they lived well in the what? No. Go back to the reading. Look at it. Good, the afterlife. So after they died, they believed that people lived after they died. So it's the afterlife. Your picture could be, you could look up Egyptian pharaoh. That's cool. What'd you get for that? Pharaohs. You could do something like one of the pharaohs. I'm probably just gonna put.
Every time I think of the word pharaoh, I think of Garfield because he fixed his mirror also like the ancient Egypt, and this cat was making him pharaoh. No, whenever I think of pharaoh, sacrifice them. Whenever I think of pharaoh, I think it's easy. I still got those old cards.
You know what I think of? The afterlife.
Can't have a picture.
Could you wait until I choose it? Okay, so find a picture and then put a caption about what it is.
I'm just gonna put statue of Egyptian pharaoh.
Works for me. Yes, Skylar.
I thought they put them in coffins and put down there.
Yeah, let's place. Well, it doesn't really matter. They were put in tombs anyway. In the pyramids. Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Inside the pyramids of Giza, the ones that are still standing, I don't know if they've removed them or not, but there would have been the bodies of pharaohs in there. I think nowadays they probably have the pharaohs removed from the pyramids to keep them preserved correctly, but I don't know. I don't know.
I thought there was like big old statues like half like that.
I don't know for sure. The statue you're talking about is a sphinx, though. A half cat, half human. Yeah.
Have you seen the despicable me one where it flies onto
The fake one?
the fake one?
Yep. I have.
He didn't catch him, he landed on that.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's focus up. Our next one is talking about the work in ancient Egypt. So we're going to answer these questions. Number 1, what is a scribe? Number 2, what is a vizier? Number 3, what are at least 3 jobs that an artisan might have? Number 4, what jobs might a peasant have? Number 5, how is a high priest different from regular priests? Number 6, how did ancient Egypt acquire slaves and how did they treat them? And then we'll find pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here and read that last one for work. Once you finish up with that slide, yes, you'll be able to turn it in. What sort of jobs do we have in ancient Egypt? Well, there are many jobs in ancient Egypt, and the job you get depends largely on what social class you belong to. If you are well connected and you have wealthy parents, then you might work in the government. You might lead the army or even become the treasurer in charge of collecting the taxes. If you're really lucky, you might land the position of the pharaoh's right-hand man, the vizier. How would this be? You would take over in case something happens to the pharaoh, and you serve as the judge in important court cases. But really, to get a government position, you have to know somebody, if you know what I mean. Becoming a priest is a fine choice. However, this job is also difficult to secure. If you're lucky enough to get it, you would manage a temple, perform religious rituals, and even advise the pharaoh if he rose to become the high priest. Do you have a good handwriting? If so, you could become a scribe. Those people record all the information that takes place in Egypt. You might record court cases, create written contracts, or even write books. If you belong to Egypt's middle class, then it's very possible that you will become an artisan, also called a craftsman, so you create art. These are skilled workers such as carpenters, jewelers, painters, weavers, or metal workers. However, if you are a member of the lower class, then you will most likely be a peasant. If you are, then you have two options: farm the land or the rich land along the Nile River, or become a construction worker and build homes, temples, or even the Great Pyramids. Of course, this is better than if you are a slave. Slaves are property of the pharaoh and cannot, under any circumstances, earn their freedom. Why not? Well, we make slaves of the people that we conquer. If we let them free, don't you think we'd be in danger? As a trade-off, though, for their eternal slavery, we give them decent jobs. Some slaves help the priests in the temples, others work in mineral mines or the fields, and a few work in elite households.
Whoa, so even the slaves have it better than the one?
Sometimes, yeah. All right, let's go fill these out. Number 1, what is a scribe? Yes, they had good handwriting, but what did they do? Okay. Someone who recorded everything. We'll just go with that. That's a good way to put it. They recorded everything. Right? They wrote down everything that needed to be written down about ancient Egypt. That's how we know a lot of stuff about ancient Egypt, because they wrote it all down so we can study it now. I don't know.
That'd be cool if there is Hopi.
There probably was.
No, weird.
Hmm.
They actually knew that somewhere in the future that woman I read those.
That would be really cool if they knew that.
Like a time capsule.
Yeah. Number 2, what is a vizier? What was the vizier? What did they do?
They did. I don't remember.
Go back and look at the passage.
I don't know if my passage.
Well, then read the passage, not just look at it.
The bears were him in. Oh yeah, I forgot.
They're the pharaoh's right-hand man. They did everything that the pharaoh needed to be done. Okay?
Was someone on visit or something?
No, just checking the attendance really quick.
Most people are muted. Michaela, Elijah. Okay, so right then. The next one is like
Next one, number 3.
rulers, painters, and weavers.
Number 2, the vizier is the pharaoh's right-hand man. So basically his assistant.
His right hand.
Like the king. Like
I'm gonna make the right hand.
Like, well, the king's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are at least 3 jobs that the artisans might have? So the people that created things, what could they be?
Rulers, painters, and weavers.
Jewelers? Jewelers?
Or metalworkers.
I hate this word. Is that right? Apparently. Jewelers, painters, what else?
Weavers
Weavers,
or metalworkers.
metal workers.
Do we put all of them?
You don't need to put all of them, but get at least 3 written down, please. Okay. Get that one written down.
They all had it. I wouldn't be back in the gym, right? You know why? They all had it good.
They did have it pretty good in ancient Egypt.
No, but each person had it good.
They did. What about a peasant? What job could a peasant have? Farmer or a builder, right? What did they build?
Or even the Great Pyramid.
Mm-hmm. Farmers or builders. Okay, if you've got that typed out, go see if you can figure out the difference between the high priest and just a regular priest. That's fine. If you're still typing, that's all right. But if you're done, go figure out. Well, how? Now figure it out. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Number 4. How is the high priest different from the regular one? Did anybody find that?
I remember it's the left one. It's that way bottom left.
Yep, the bottom left over here. What did the high priest do?
He did. He would manage the temple. So it says if you were lucky enough to get, you would manage a temple performing rituals and advise the pharaoh if he wants to become a high priest.
Okay, so the regular priests would manage the temple, perform the religious rituals, but the high priest was the priest for the pharaoh. So he advised the pharaoh. So the high priest advised the pharaoh.
You know what's weird? If someone was that and they worked with that, they probably wouldn't. They probably just think the pharaoh was just a normal person.
Potentially, yep.
I bet the Egyptians treat them really bad and like probably smack them with a like one of those.
I don't know how they treated him.
Well, I know how they treated them. It's like
The high priest.
I know the pharaoh is the most one.
The pharaoh's the highest, but I don't know how he treated people. I don't know if the pharaohs were mean or not.
They were.
I mean,
I don't know.
All right. Our last question there asks, how did the Egyptians acquire slaves? So let's start with that. How did they get slaves, first of all?
they captured them or conquered. They conquered them.
Good. From the civilizations they conquered. What does it mean to conquer someone?
Like for the beast to take the capture. Yeah.
To take over? They took over?
I just put they conquered them.
Yeah. I was just clarifying conquered, just in case. So once they conquered them and they have those slaves, how did they treat their slaves?
They give them elite household.
Yeah, the slaves had decent jobs, right? Okay, the slaves had decent jobs. Yeah, just let him do what he's doing. Okay, and then go ahead and find a picture that has to do with. Yep, once you get that done, you can turn it in, and then wait before you start the next one. Don't start the next one. I want to explain it to you guys, and then I'm actually going to let you guys work on it. I'm not going to do that one completely with you. It's very similar to what we just did, and you guys are fully capable of doing this on your own. So you don't need to start it just yet. What do you type in? For what? We've been doing it the whole time. You find a picture and write a caption. You don't have to do the same one as me. Skylar, you can't complain. You're not even doing it. There will be another one. Yep. This looks like a good one.
Oh, I found it. Did we turn it in now?
Yep, when you finish, you may turn it in. I'm going to leave it on this slide for about 1 or 2 more minutes. And then I'm going to switch over to the second assignment and describe it.
Remember you can drag it,
Drag what?
the picture to the next one. Remember I showed you that? I showed her a while back. You can drag the picture to the PowerPoint. That's what you can do. I learned that from last year.
I did too. They went away. One of them is nasty.
No.
Like one of the pictures on there is gross.
Don't look at it, man.
Yeah.
Well, don't look at it.
Weird.
Well, you want to look at Egyptian stuff. It's weird.
Not that weird.
It's a little bit.
Just a little bit. They're just gonna eat.
All right, so leave it on here for 1 more minute, and then I'm going to go over to the other assignment and show you guys that one.
Wait, are we reading the thing too?
I think what we're going to do, I don't know yet. I'm going to look at it. But I think we're going to do something similar where I read each passage to you and let you guys fill out the information. So I'm not going to give you guys the information this time or type it out for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so once you get this all typed in, please hit the turn in button. I am going to exit out of it. If you did not get to finish it, this is being recorded. You can go check the Schoology video and finish it up, or you can just finish it up on your own. Because, you know, you guys are all 6th graders and absolutely capable of doing assignments like this on your own. Okay? So, you might need to reload your page. Oopsies. Where'd it go? I accidentally put that in the wrong, here we go. There we go. You might need to reload your Google Classroom, but we have a new assignment called Egyptian Inventions. So I don't know. So we're gonna go ahead and open these up. Yeah, but I would have both open. I would open up the Google Slides and the PDF so that you have both. I am gonna zoom in a little bit on this. Okay. How are we doing online? Still following along? Still doing all right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you. All right, so this one we have, so essentially what you're gonna do, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. Oh, no, or not. Okay, we're gonna stay at 53. Basically, you're gonna use the PDF I gave you. So there are 6 things. I will read them with you, okay? But each one will correspond to one of the different boxes on the slides. So if we look at this first one, whatever this picture is right here shows us one of the inventions that ancient Egypt created. You will type the name of the invention there, and then you guys are going to fill out why it was invented and answer the questions based on that. Basically, it's by ourselves. I will go along with you guys and make sure you have the correct inventions for each one, but I'm not going to answer the questions for you. Understand? Okay, so let's go ahead and start with papyrus. I'm going to read through it real quick. Yeah, but it might not go in order. You want to be careful which box you put it in because it doesn't go in order. The pictures next to it.
Oh, it's the last one.
So there is a picture on the slide that looks like, yeah, the pictures are show the same thing. So this looks like grass and plants, right? So if you look at your slides, what slide is there a picture of grass?
It's on the fifth slide.
Good, it's on slide number 5 over on the right. Up there, you would type papyrus. I did not make it. But you have to match. You can't just assume that it goes in order. You are going to need to do some matching. Okay? So now that you know which questions you're looking for, why was it invented? Okay. So you're going to be looking for the questions, why was this invented? How did the Egyptians invent this product? And how did the other societies make this product better? So I'm going to read this to you guys. Okay. Do you want me to read it to you? You guys just want to go for it? Okay. I'll read it. And then I'll give you guys.
Would you let us read it and then you help us through the questions, or would you read it?
No, I'm just going to read it. Sorry. So I think we're going to do, I'm going to read it. I'm going to give you maybe 2 minutes. And then I'm going to move on to the next one. So I'm not going to give you enough time to answer the questions. You probably will need to go back and finish this on your own. But I want to finish this today so that we have time to do our assignment on Thursday, because I think it'll be pretty fun on Thursday. So we're going to finish this. Huh? What? I make math, but that's beside the point for right now. Papyrus says, historians estimate that the Cyperus papyrus plant has survived along the Nile River for over 2,000 years. So what did the Egyptians do with it that was so important? They used it to make the world's first form of paper. Okay, well, I apologize for saying something wrong. I've been reading for like an hour straight. Let me go, please. What about what? We have no school tomorrow. There's no school on Thursday or Wednesday. Yep. There is no school on Wednesday. I did start reading it, but now I stopped reading it. So yeah. That's cool. Tell my birthday for us. All right. So historians estimate that the Cyperus papyrus plant has survived along the Nile River for over 2,000 years. So what did the Egyptians do with it that was so important? They used it to make the world's first form of paper. The plant grows in water and can reach around 4 to 5 feet tall. The ancient Egyptians would harvest this plant and weave together several to make a mat. Then they would pound the mats together to create a hard, thin sheet. This sheet would be written on for keeping notes, records, or important laws. Over time, the Egyptian pharaohs realized how important papyrus was to their society. This made them closely guard the process by which it was created. They did not want any other civilization to copy their method. However, the world would eventually find quicker and more efficient ways to make paper. In 105 CE, paper was invented again in China from tree bark and cloth. Eventually, papermaking would reach Europe, where the other plant fibers and stalks were pounded at rapid speeds by trip hammers, which is a large hammer lifted by a simple rope and pulley method, then released to fall. Cheaper materials, such as velium, animal skin, would also be used throughout Europe, which lessened the desire for Egyptian papyrus. So there's our section on papyrus. There are 3 questions to answer. They're all on slide 5. Okay? I don't think it's going to let you copy and paste. It's a PDF. Yeah. Oh, well then, I guess if you can copy and paste, but I would kind of prefer that you wrote it in your own words. Please and thank you. Does it? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to match the things first so that we have all of them labeled for what invention it's supposed to be. And then I will read the rest to you and let you guys work on it, okay? We'll just think about paper in general. Why would it be invented? Okay. So really quick, let's just put these on the correct spots. So we have the wigs. What picture is on the wigs? Yeah, those ladies or men, who knows? Wigs went on both men and women in ancient Egypt, looking at each other. It's on the same page as the papyrus. So on that one, we need to type wigs. Just keep trying and hopefully it works eventually. Okay. I will read the wigs one in a minute. Let's just match the rest of them first. Our next one is toothpaste and breath mints, which are very important, I would say. There's a picture of teeth there, so which one would that be on? Slide 4, 3, or 2? Slide 4? Yep, that's them. What's it called? Toothpaste? And breath mints. Okay, I'll give you a second to type that out. So we're just going to do the matching right now, and then I will read the rest of them to you and give you the time to work. We could make papyrus, or I mean paper. Maybe. We shall see. Okay, let's match our next one. So if we keep scrolling down, the ox drop. No, we haven't read them. We're just matching them first. The ox drawn plow has a picture of someone, like an ox carrying stuff. Is that on slide 3 or 2? Slide 3 over on the right. This is the ox drawn plow. Okay? The ox drawn plow. D-R-A-W-N. Ox drawn, like it's drawing it behind them. Okay, what's next? Our next one is the 365-day calendar, which has the picture of the water of the pyramids. Is that on slide 2 or 3? It's on slide 2. 365-day calendar. Okay, the calendar. All right.
I kind of wonder how they made, like, how they knew when the year started.
I don't know. It's a good question. And it has to do with the water flooding and receding and all that stuff. And our last one is bowling, which will be the last one we have blank on slide 3. Bowling. Okay. So now that we have the correct things matched, you should be able to do the rest of it by reading the information and filling out those questions on there. I will read the rest of them to you really quick, but let you guys do the information part on your own. Sound good? Does anybody need me to go to any of the slides to get the correct spelling, or you guys have the, do we have an understanding of how this assignment works?
So on the why this is invented, you kind of just guess why it was invented.
Yeah, I wouldn't say guess, but like an educated guess about why they would have invented this specific thing. Like bowling. Do we need bowling in our life?
Yeah.
No, but we have it because it's entertaining, right? So things like that. You might not be able to say exactly why it was invented, but you can make an educated guess. correct? Okay, so I'm going to go read these things to you. Because we get bored. Yes, we do get bored. And bowling is fun. I kind of want to go bowling soon.
Isn't there a bowling alley?
And flag,
There is a bowling alley in Flagstaff.
Yeah.
There used to be, well, there is like a bowl bus, but someone else bought it.
Oh, okay. So is it not a bowling alley anymore?
No, it's a house now.
All right. So we read Papyrus. You guys can finish up the Papyrus one. I'm going to go down and read the one about wigs. So I'm just going to read through this and then let you guys fill out that information. Once you have the information filled out, and you can turn this in, and I will grade it from there. But
These are the only ones we're doing? These two are doing?
we're doing the rest of them. No, we're finishing. I'm going to read the rest of these.
What about the paragraph?
There's a paragraph thing?
Yeah.
Oh, on the last one? So that one says, now that you have learned about the 6 of the greatest inventions, which 2 are your favorite? So pick your favorite 2. Imagine that you were a child in an Egyptian family and that you are writing a daily journal entry where you describe your interaction with these 2 inventions. For example, are you watching a bowling match? Maybe you're helping a farm use the ox-drawn plow. Perhaps you are helping create papyrus, or maybe you're brushing your teeth after receiving a self-help guide because you didn't brush your teeth. Be sure to include at least 2 essential details about each invention. To make it clear what you are considering are essential details, underline the details that you use. So you'll choose 2 inventions, write in first-person point of view, so your point of view about these inventions and a day where you would use them. That's what that one is. Okay? So, yeah, a paragraph or so. But make sure you include information about the inventions.
How many sentences is a paragraph?
At least 5. So we'll go with it. At least 5 sentences on this. Okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna go back through and read these to you. So the wigs, the invention of the wig. Even in ancient Egypt, people disliked losing their hair. When hair turned gray, many Egyptians used henna or a popular shrub, to dye it brown or red. Others turned to more radical or magical methods to save their graying hair, such as rubbing in the blood of a black ox or decaying remains of donkey liver. Gross. So they probably didn't smell very good. When hair started to fall out, people would apply plant oils, animal fats, or place lettuce leaves on their head. Needless to say, these methods never worked, which prompted the invention of the wig. Both men and women wore wigs from real human hair, plant fibers, and sheep wool. These wigs were elaborately curled and were typically worn on special occasions and during religious ceremonies. One's status could be easily determined by the number of wigs that they had in their collection. While some men wore wigs to disguise their baldness, it was very common for men to shave their heads anyway due to the heat and to avoid fleas and head lice. So men and women wore these. The more you had, the wealthier you were.
What does this invention stand? What does that mean?
I just said it. And it says it in the second paragraph, near the end. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and read the toothpaste and breath mints one to you guys. I'm not going to give you guys the time to answer it because I'm going to let you guys just work after I read them all. So, toothpaste and breath mints. The Egyptians had a lot of trouble with their teeth. Living in a time with poor understanding of dental hygiene, bad breath and tooth decay was everywhere. The ancient Egyptians are credited with being the first society to conceal the unpleasant aromas that come from our mouth. Unlike our society today, the poor teeth and gum health of an ancient Egyptian was not the result of sugary soft drinks or junk food. Believe it or not, bad teeth came from bread. The Egyptians used stones to grind down flour to make the bread, which contributed to sand, grit, and small rocks to become part of the Egyptian diet. Slowly but surely, these particles wore down tooth enamel to expose the inner pulp of the tooth. Soon, infection would set in. These problems plagued all Egyptians since archaeologists have discovered mummified remains of children with severely worn-down teeth. Despite having specialists for many other medical problems, the Egyptians did not have dentists. The Egyptians did, however, have ways to care for their poor dental hygiene. The Egyptians invented the first breath mints, which were a combination of frankincense, myrrh, and cinnamon boiled with honey and then shaped into pellets. They also invented an early form of toothpaste that contained salt, mint, flowers, and even pepper. Archaeologists have even uncovered how to brush guides that were used to teach young Egyptians how to properly brush their teeth. So we do things like that now, where we teach young kids how to brush their teeth correctly, except we don't have little bits of rocks in our diets that break down our teeth. Okay. So there's the breath mints and toothbrush one. Both important things. Brush your teeth, kids. Then the next one is the ox-drawn plow. An ox is a type of animal. Yeah, it's like a bull, kind of. So evidence suggests that the ancient Egyptians revolutionized agriculture when they invented the ox-drawn plow around 4000 BCE. However, the first plows that the Egyptians invented were barely anything memorable. In fact, they were often referred to as scratch plows, since they were just built of wood, which made them unable to actually dig deep into the ground. This early plow relied heavily on human strength, which further contributed to its ineffectiveness. By 2000 BCE, plows were much more improved throughout ancient Egypt. Farmers turned to bronze parts instead of wood, which improved their ability to turn the soil. Just as important as the parts, this revised plow replaced manpower with oxen to supply the strength. Initially, the plow was attached to the horns of the cattle, but Egyptians quickly realized that the weight caused excessive strain on their animals. It did not take long for the straps of the plow to be moved to the rear of the cattle. Some communities even experimented with having laborers lead the ox-drawn plows with hoes to loosen the soil to make it even easier for their animals. Don't kid yourself, though. Even though the plow changed how farming was done, it was still very, very difficult work. So this helped turn the soil for them to plant things, right? You have to turn up the soil and dig holes to be able to plant plants in it. So this was helpful for that. All the trash from lunch. No, they just dropped the trash bag. All right, our next one is the 365-day calendar. Huh? That's all right. You guys will have the time after this. If you're at home, you might have to stay and not stay, but work on it after class because you might not finish it during class. So, 365-day calendar. The ancient Egyptians are remembered for many inventions that have transformed how the world works. However, no other invention has had greater impact on the society than the creation of 365-day calendar. Invented more than 5,000 years ago, the calendar was first developed around the seasonal flooding of the Nile River. Egyptian astronomers began to notice that there were links between Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, and the flooding of the Nile River. They discovered that the appearance of Sirius signaled that the Nile's annual flooding season had begun. The Egyptians divided up their calendar into 3 seasons. Inundation, which is the flooding, the growing of the plants, and the harvest, when they picked all the plants. The opening of the year occurred around June 21st each year on the appearance of Sirius. Once the Nile receded or went down, Egyptians turned to planting the fertile soil and tending their crops. Finally, the last third of their year was dedicated to harvest and food preservation. Each of these 3 seasons was divided into 4 months, each with a month of 30 days. This actually only accounts for 360 days, but since Sirius appears every 365 days, the Egyptians added 5 extra days between harvest and inundation, it's a hard word, to account for this small difference. So, that's how they came up with the calendar. It's a pretty big deal because we still use this calendar every year, correct? Yeah, go ahead and go quickly. Alrighty. Yep. Let me go ahead and read our last one, bowling. Are you surprised to learn that ancient Egyptians invented the game of bowling? Well, they did not invent the type that we play today, but they are certainly responsible for a very early form of the sport. Played in the town of Narmaltheus, around 56 miles south of Cairo, archaeologists have determined that local Egyptians relaxed in a very spacious room and played a game that involved many lanes and a collection of different ball sizes. Similar to modern bowling, players competed by trying to roll their ball down the lane. However, unlike modern bowling, the goal was not to knock down pins. Instead, there was a square opening in the center of the lane that Egyptian bowlers aimed for. There were two balls, one that was much smaller than the whole opening and one that would barely squeeze through the opening. Opponents, or teams of opponents, stood on the opposite ends of the lane and took turns throwing the small ball to score points. The person throwing the larger ball would play defense and attempt to knock the smaller ball away. Once both sides were ready, the two players who were up would throw their balls at the same time. Do you think they had automatic ball returns like in today's modern bowling? Not a chance. Once the ball entered the hole, the participants would have to reach down into the hole and fetch the ball from the sand basin below. So, it's a different form of bowling for sure, but it was still bowling in some ways. So, that is all of the information that you need. Now, the slides and the information that needs to go into the slides is your responsibility. I do not need to walk you guys through every step of these things. You're aware of how to use these now. We've been doing them for quite a while. So, there is 8 minutes left of class today for social studies, but you will not have time on Thursday to do this. We are doing a separate assignment. So if you are not done, which I assume that nobody is, then you are going to need to continue this on your own and finish it on your own. This is a graded one. You want to make sure that you grade it, not grade it, complete it, so that I can grade it. But I can't give you any more time today. So if you are online, you can stay on for the next 8 minutes and wait until class.